While making the switch from human to dog neuroscience made sense to Burns, it was not initially celebrated by his peers.
My colleagues, though, thought, yes, this was crazy. But what can you possibly hope to get out of this? And even when we did the first experiment, the reaction was something like, great, you showed that dogs like hot dogs.
Burns and his team have shown much more than that by decoding dogs' brains one study at a time. What they have learned paints our family pets in a whole new light. Burns' team has discovered that dogs have an innate ability to process human faces, that there is a region in the temporal lobe of dogs dedicated to processing faces. It's a big deal because this is something known to exist in people and primates. It helps to explain dogs' incredible sensitivity for reading human social cues. Distinguishing faces is important for social creatures, and dogs are social.
I've had many dogs, it's like, who isn't their friend, right? Everyone's their friend.
Looking at dogs' heightened sense of smell, Burns and his team learned that a dog's brain responds strongest to the scent of a familiar person rather than to scents of familiar dogs or people they don't know. This speaks to the powerful connection between dogs and their people. Burns and his team even looked at if dogs are jealous, measuring activities in dogs' amygdalas, an area associated with arousal. What they learned is that jealousy depends more on a dog's temperament, with more aggressive dogs showing more jealousy.
Hi, Loki. You having fun? You want to sit?
Burns also studied dogs' ability to understand language. Many of us think our dogs know what we are saying.
Good girl, you're so sweet. Oh, yes, baby.
What words does she know?
She knows I love you. She definitely knows that. She definitely gets a smile on her face when I say that.
Really?
Yeah, she does.
Girl, girl.
They understand what?
So if I say, do you want, they know that that follows something. Like, do you want to go to the park? Do you want food? Do you want to go outside?
Hi, guys.
It might be just like the way I say it, how my voice goes up.
You're such a good girl.
Or it could be they know the actual words. I'm not sure.
Our dogs seem to understand basic commands. So Burns and his team taught dogs the names of two new toys, words they hadn't heard before, monkey and piggy. In the MRI, Eddie, a golden retriever lab mix, was one of a dozen dogs who saw their owners hold up the toys and say their names. Then the owner spoke gibberish words, such as babu and bodmik, holding up other toys. The surprising result is opposite of humans. We recognize gibberish and don't try to understand it, but the dogs showed greater activation in regions of the brain to the made-up words instead of the trained words. This means dogs can tell the difference between words they've heard before and those they haven't. Burns says their heightened response to gibberish may be because our dogs can tell we want them to understand what we are saying, and so they try to do that, figure it out. And did you know that dogs can naturally count? They can't count to 10, but they have an innate sense of how many treats you put in their bowl. Burns and his team showed dogs different numbers of dots on a black screen. The dogs' brains recognize the change in the number of dots. People and primates have a dedicated brain region for quantities, and it looks like dogs have one too. Burns says it's the strongest evidence yet that most mammals are born to count, if not do higher math. They also discovered that you can predict which dogs will be good service dogs. Dogs who had more activity in the brain region that has the most dopamine receptors, the caudate nucleus, made better candidates. Those dogs also had less activity in the amygdala, the part of the brain associated with fear and anxiety. So, our dogs process faces, know some language, respond strongly to their known people, experience jealousy, and know if you're giving them extra treats. But Burns and his team went to the place closest to dog owners' hearts. They wanted to research love. Do our dogs love us, or do they love that we feed them?
First question is, certainly I've had, and everyone I know who has dogs has, is, does my dog love me? Not just for the food I give them, but do they have kind of anything like an emotion that we would put the label love on?
For this neuroscientist, the love study was personal. His name was Newton. Burns' dog of 15 years who died in 2010.
He wasn't particularly obedient, and he was just kind of a clown, but you know, he slept in my armpit every night. That's where he slept. I missed him, and I kind of wondered in retrospect kind of what he thought of me, kind of what that whole thing had been about. You know, what were those 15 years to him? Was I just the person who fed him and kind of kept him warm at night, or was it something more?
Burns set about answering something most dog owners have wondered at some point. Is it me or the treats? For his study, the team did experiments with 15 dogs. Dogs were shown a hairbrush, a toy car, or a toy horse. They were given hot dog after one object, praise from their owner after another, and nothing after the third. The results of the study showed that 13 of 15 dogs' brains were stimulated by praise as much or more than food.
Then we have other dogs who were at the other end of the spectrum, who according to their brain really didn't care so much about praise and were really all about the food. And so those were the chow hounds.